friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do.
He sure does. Welcome to the Wednesday Dennis and Andy show. Thank you for joining us today. As always, we really appreciate it. We, of course, have a guest today, and that was Dave Landau giving us a little hat tip, if you will.
We love Dave. Dave is awesome.
Dave needs to come to Charlotte, North Carolina and do a show, so him and Steven Crowder need to both come to Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's right.
Or at least somewhere within a couple hours so we can see you. Randy Howell in the house. Hello, Randy. Thank you for joining.
First one on the chat. Gotta love it.
He's the first man.
Exactly.
See that?
I saw what you did there.
You did.
Yeah, you see how you pimp your stuff out in almost every other sentence. That's the way. That's the way. Love it. Love it.
Pimp myself out in every other sentence. I mean, I don't know. First Man, Volume 2, Learning Curve, available on Indiegogo now. I don't know. I think that was one of those subliminal things where it happened so fast.
Right. Now, today, we're going to have our guest on and we get to chat, but we're doing something a little bit different. Instead of all of our normal live streams that we're doing with all of our reviews, we are now pre-recording. So we just did the Moon Knight review for episodes 1 and 2. We did our Morbius review, which we'll be posting. And then new comic books we'll also be posting. So instead of doing live chats, we are going to post them in there and let you guys chat, and we can save all of our time just for our guests.
That's right. And Randy says, because I did take a picture of a bunch of the sketches. I saw your sketch of the Golden Age Catwoman, Meow.
It looks great.
Thank you very much. For those asking what is he talking about, we're about to hear my garage door open because I just see my wife pulling up. Ignore that. As part of the First Man campaign, which you can still go back, there is, I believe, one full figure sketch left available. You pick the character, and I think there's a few headshots left. You pick the character. Randy, if you look at that picture closely, I posted, you'll see the two sketches that you requested, characters you requested. So check that out. Our guest today is the creator of Captain Love himself, Mr. Drew Eash. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Drew.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. How's everything going?
It's going pretty good. Got a little kitten here who's
I see that
trying to make trouble.
Oh my God, that is so cute.
Yeah, he's just over 4 weeks old. He'll be 5 weeks on Saturday. So
wait, if he's that young, does that mean you had the cat that gave birth?
Yeah, actually, that's a sad story.
No.
So when they were born,
why did you ask that, Dennis?
Yeah. So when they were born, there was 5 kittens in the litter, and the mama cat was my outdoor cat, and she's been like with me for years and years and years, and we finally, like, after 6 years of her being an outdoor feral cat, she started trusting me, and we ended up being really good friends. Anyway, so 3 days after. So the Monday after they were born on a Saturday. The Monday after they were born, a stray dog from the neighborhood came sniffing around, like half pit bull, half Chihuahua. Yeah, and it got near the babies, so obviously she got attacking, and then the dog, being the nature of a pit bull dog, obviously got a hold of her and hurt her real bad, and then that evening she passed away. So,
oh man!
And then because those kittens hadn't had enough time with their mom, 4 of them, succumbed to, the whole kitten death stuff. Their mother had the what I call a cat cold. It's really there's a name for it. I can't remember, but it's kind of like it's where their eyes and nose get that pus, and it's respiratory, and if they get older, their immune system gets strong enough to fight it. But those 4 of the 5 kittens weren't big enough to put up a good fight. They each one at a time succumbed to it. But this guy, Charlie, he is a survivor, and his name is Charlie. He got named by Sally Kirkland. Do you guys know who Sally Kirkland is?
No.
Have you seen Best of the Best?
No.
You have not seen the Best of the Best with Eric Roberts and James Earl Jones?
No.
Really? That you guys, I'm sure. Like I'm so surprised you have not seen that. That's like the one where they're like the Olympic karate fighters, and one of the Asian dudes on the team has got a vendetta against the Asian team because of one of the guys like killed his older brother in a fight at the next competition.
1989. Yeah.
You guys haven't seen it. Anyway, so
No.
Sally Kirkland plays the female coach in that. She also played David and Mark Healy's mother on the Roseanne series, and she's she's been in a lot of stuff. Anyway, I got to act opposite her in a movie when he was only 2 weeks old, and we had to take him with me because it was out of town. It was in LA, so he had to come along on the road trip. When she saw him, she's all like, what's his name? I'm like, he doesn't have a name yet. She's all, his name is Charlie. And so since Sally Kirkland gave him a name, it's
hold on. I got to full screen you. Pick him back up. Look at that.
Look at the eyes.
Oh my God, that is so cute. My daughter would melt.
She
we have
would.
We have an 11-year. Well, actually, our boy turns 11 on April 14th. So
nice.
Indoor only. He's never been out. He got outside once. I accidentally left, I guess, the back door open, and thank God my wife was at work. My daughter was at school, because they would have freaked out if they heard me say, "Uh-oh, I can't find him." I look out he's never been outside. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. So he was like, 6 or 7, never been outside. And he's so pathetic. He was sitting at the back door, just looking up at the door because it's glass, looking up at the door, just looking on his face like, I don't know what I'm doing. You need to let me back in. Please, God, let me back in.
That's great. Yeah, I have more than my share of cats, and none of them were like by choice. It's I mean, by choice, like I decided not to put them down, but,
right?
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's kind of crazy because I've been trapping cats to get them fixed so that I can keep the numbers down.
Oh yeah.
Because it would be 10 times worse if I didn't do that, because there's just so many cats in the neighborhood. So I've literally gotten probably about 45 cats fixed so far in just the last few years. And in the process of that, I've actually brought kittens in the house to adopt out, and people wouldn't adopt them, because it was difficult. Now, what's funny is now I would have no problem adopting out kittens, because I'm very active in my church, and COVID is over. So I could just bring a box of kittens to church and then they'd be gone, But before, I wasn't active in my church, so it was difficult to find a place to adopt out kittens. And because you can't put them on Craigslist, you can't put them on Facebook as an advertisement. You can only just say, you can only just post it on your own feed.
Yeah.
And so it was a challenge, and I did adopt out a lot of cats. I mean, I adopted out a lot of kittens.
We had a dog for 15 years, and she passed away like 2 years ago. And so, the cat was used to something else in the house. In fact, we had the dog first, of course. And a part of me wouldn't mind another dog. A part of me wouldn't mind another cat. But this is the first cat we've ever owned. And we've heard that sometimes if you introduce a new pet, the cat might mark its territory. And we're like, yeah, I don't want my cat pissing on my furniture.
If the cat isn't spraying already, it's not going to start. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. That's something that they do before. If they spray, it's something they do before they get fixed. You know what I mean? And then they'll do it anytime another, like if it's a male cat, they'll do it anytime another male cat comes around. And that's because it's especially if that male cat sprays, But if they're not if they haven't learned to spray, they won't be a sprayer. It's very rare that would happen. I've actually never even heard of it happening one time. I'm not going to say it never happens. Right. I'm just saying that in my experience, which is pretty vast with cats,
sure,
I've never seen that happen. Now, but let me tell you, getting a cat that fixed after he starts spraying and then bring him inside. That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
No, we rescued him, and we got him when he was, able to go. So he was like 7 weeks old, 8 weeks old.
Right.
He was already fixed. Or no, we got him fixed as soon as we could, as soon as they were like 12 weeks, whatever the time period is. The vet was like, okay. So we got him fixed right away. And
yeah, different vets have different rules. My vet says 2.5 pounds. You know what I mean? So yeah, which is about 6 weeks. For most cats, if they tend to be like a runt, it could be as long as 12 weeks. You know what I mean? I had one that wasn't. I mean, I weighed her all the time and fed her all the time, and it was literally 12 weeks before she was old enough to get fixed.
Oh wow!
Because she was just so small. You know what I mean? She's still like a midget cat. So.
Oh.
Well, Drew, before we jump into Captain Love, Rise of the Pirate King, one of the things we always like to ask our guests when they come on there, because some of our guests, our viewers may know you, other ones might not. So what is your origin story? How did you get involved in comic books?
All right. Well, okay. So I've always, I come from a long time ago. You guys probably, somewhat close to my age. If not, then I'm older. No, I basically graduated in class 91. So I actually had the comic book experience in the late 70s and early 80s. Right. Yep. So I actually got to taste comics when they were, heavily Jack Kirby era. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I remember the first X-Men, I remember, all that kind of stuff coming out. And back then, comics were like the only source, like one of the only sources of cheap entertainment that you could take with you. You know what I mean? We didn't have like video games that we could carry around. You know what I mean? And novels were, too much. It was too much of a read. You know what I mean? When we were a kid. So, but I could go to my comic book store, drop down $1, and walk out with 4 or 5 comics. You know what I mean? So it was a nice thing to be able to do. And so I read comics quite a bit growing up, and then obviously 1981 MTV came out. You know what I mean? And that slowed my comic reading a little bit. I
watched it go live, so I do remember. Yeah, do you remember the video? What was the first video?
Yeah, it was video killed the radio star. Yeah.
Yeah, Buggles. That's right. Yeah, I remember watching that thing launch, and my parents were like, "I'm like, I need to watch TV tonight," and they're like, "For what?" And I'm like, "MTV." Yeah. Oh, you don't need to watch it. I do. And I got them to let me have the TV for that night, and I watched it.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that the 1980s were heavily influenced by MTV just in general.
Oh yeah,
just like
really?
almost like all pop culture in the 80s was like directly associated to MTV in some way or another. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Hey, the heavy metal explosion, the hair bands of West Coast. It was all because of MTV. I mean, that's what. We'd stay up and watch, Friday night. We had heavy metal, Headbanger Ball.
Now, okay, who was the first metal band to appear on MTV? Here's your
first band.
I got the answer because I saw it.
I don't know the answer, but I'm going to guess Quiet Riot.
Boom! You got it.
Did I?
Feel the noise. Yes.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. If it was going to be a heavy metal at that time, that would have been the song.
It was, and that's what it was. It was Quiet Riot, Come On, Feel the Noise. That was the first heavy metal song to appear on MTV. Yes.
I'm taking a bow, Andy, because I knew you were going to contradict me. Woo! Love it.
No, if you gave multiple choice, I probably would have got it, but I did not know. But I know the songs. I used to have the cassette tape of that album.
Well, the remnants, so they are coming, Def Leppard, Joan Jett's opening, Motley Crue, Poison. I've still got tickets, even though they pushed it back for 3 years now. So this year, they can't. No more excuses. I'm going into the concert to see it.
Yeah, those are fun concerts. They really are. I don't go to concerts as much because I have issues with large crowds. Well, no, I actually got jumped once from behind at a concert, and it's
Oh,
just
wow.
it just kind of makes I'm just edgy now in a crowd. You know?
Ah,
I'm not like paranoid. It's just you just can't relax kind of thing. So I just prefer,
Right.
you know what I mean?
you
So
can't.
yeah. So it's
I'm a mosh pit kind of guy, or at least used to be. Now I'm getting old, you know. I'm in my 50s now, and I don't know if I can mosh pit it with these youngsters.
yeah, they can't hang, man. Trust me. The youngsters can't hang. They're wimps, dude. They drink too much soy.
Exactly.
And by the way, I love the fact when you said what books, you said first X-Men. That was what he said. I'm an X-Men guy, so for me, that's what I love to hear right there. So you're on my favorite list already.
Yeah. Yes, the first X-Men, and then also the second iteration of the Flash Gordon series where they brought when they brought Flash Gordon back, but he looked like Sam Jones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also around the same time. And then
What's up with that? Give him a wrench. Statistical Zero lost a bunch of wrenches. So
Oh, did he really?
yeah, he said he tweeted out he lost a bunch. I got to give him one too next time I go live. So maybe he didn't on this channel. Oh yeah, no, he did.
Yep.
So
You're
he's
back on stat. Thanks.
25-cent comic in 1975 is equivalent to $1.30 today. Yeah, right. They definitely are.
Yeah, $1.30 a day doesn't get you any good books.
No, what are you talking about? Dollar bins, baby.
Yeah, that's still not a dollar. They're not $1.30. Yeah.
Here's also the problem, right? Here's also the problem, right? Now, when I was a kid, you didn't save comics. You know what I mean? You didn't. I mean, they came like this. You know what I mean? They were paper.
Oh, yeah.
They had ads in them. You know what I mean? You rolled it up and stuck it in your pocket.
Dude.
We used to buy those. We used to have the army surplus jackets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they had those huge. They had those huge inner pockets, so we could stuff our magazines in, and we would trade these. Now, we would trade after you finish reading it. You would trade with your buddy.
Yeah.
Yes. And then so my favorite reading was always heavy metal, and right.
Oh yeah. Original heavy metal magazine.
Yes. Actually, this is from the first season. And we would trade those, and then we would trade our father's Playboys. You know what I mean? And we would trade these things around, and so like nobody like collected anything back then. We just we traded to read. And
you're absolutely right.
No, I think in the 80s it was obviously there were collectors, but it really started to boom up, I think, with collectors in the 90s and now 2000s. I mean, 20 years ago, going to get a giant size X-Men #1 wasn't really out of reach. It was expensive, but it wasn't crazy what it is now.
Exactly.
So,
I had, like that. I had some heavy metal that we would trade around. I'm a role player, so Dragon Magazine. I had a ton of Dragon magazines that we always like, oh, here's a new class, and we would swap magazines back and forth. Comics once in a while, but it was more like, here, read this one, give it back to me later. And, I would go buy them and roll them up, stick them in my back pocket, and then I'd take them out, read them down by the lake or something.
Yeah, or we would get in trouble for reading them in class because it was really easy to slip it inside, a comic book like this. It was really easy to just put it inside your textbook. So you had your here's your textbook. You're like just.
Yep, especially when it was social studies. That's exactly.
Well, those workbooks were so big. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it was really
well, I mean,
easy.
like you said, so you graduated in 91. I'm 87. He's 88.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but when I was going through school, the first week in school, you'd get your textbooks, you'd go home, they'd expect you to put covers on them. And it was always the old paper bag from the grocery store cut up to make a cover so you could draw on it, whatever.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. Damn.
Yep. That is totally exactly how I did it as well. Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, to me that is the great age of growing up. No helmets, riding in the back of pickup trucks, no seat belts, no nothing.
No helmets, riding dirt bikes on the street, and
that's right. And that's what I lived on a busy street.
Dude,
we drank water out of the hose, the garden hose.
Oh yeah,
without any issues. Today,
dude, we played. I remember playing flag football on the street in front of our house on concrete,
Yep.
not grass. Just mark it out on the street in front of the house,
Right.
concrete, playing flag football. And it's only flag, but you could still trip and fall.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
trying to catch a pass.
We played full contact on the asphalt. Trust me, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Although tackling, you kind of would hold off on tackling because even if you're the tackler, you're still getting hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So it was short on time. But let me tell you, we would definitely tackle anybody that got to the sidelines, because obviously the sidelines with the gutter, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
If you got to the gutter, you're almost out of bounds. So we'd hit people so we could drive them into the grass strip between the gutter
grass
and the
strip.
sidewalk.
Yep, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. What did he say? Was there both ways or just one? So, you played both ways, but remember when we played football, there was grass, but there was glass in the grass uphill both ways in 6 feet of snow. That's how we did it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It was rough.
Yeah, and it was always 65 below zero. Just so
That's right. And we were barefoot, and we were happy just to have snow around our feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I grew up in Wisconsin, so we really had a lot of snow.
I never experienced true snow till I joined a road band and we were based out of Ohio. And,
oh wow!
Oh man, let me tell you, I was like, here's a California boy who grew up in the Central Valley, which is basically like desert heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't see snow unless we want to go up to the mountains.
Right.
And then it's not like real snow. You know what I mean? There's never whiteout conditions in California.
Right.
No, I was in Ohio, and the first time there was whiteout conditions, I was like driving down the road. I'm like, I don't see trails. I don't see road. I don't see anything. You're sitting there just praying you're not going to go off the road. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, I've driven through them. So
yeah, I did too, many a times, and I never had 4-wheel drives. No, so I mean, if I had a front wheel, I was lucky. But no, I had 350 engines, back wheel drive, and you just drove.
Yeah, we had an old school bus, international. The kind with the nose, not the flat front, but the nose front.
Yeah.
And we had one of those that we took on the road, and it wouldn't go over 45 miles an hour without risking the engine blowing up.
So you had the Partridge Family Bus.
Yeah.
Yes. And we had to drive slow, so everybody would have to drive around us. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah.
And people would pick on us too, because we would like have rival bands that would be also on the road at the same time, and they'd see us because we were like a spectacle. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then we would be like in the middle lane, and then they would have like their cars, and they would just like circle us and just treat us like we were, like they were sharks, and we were like, riding an inner tube in the ocean or something.
Try 90 inches of snow. Okay. We never had 90.
No.
Well, I don't think. I remember the blizzard. We couldn't open the back door to get out. And our garage, the snow was blowing all the way up to the garage, so we could climb into the garage, go up on the roof, and we could literally walk down the roof, and then that was the snow. And we would jump down there, and we would build a huge fort in this huge snowbank. So that's how deep it got. It might be close, but that would have been 78, 79 when we had that big blizzard.
Where I grew up.
Here in Ohio, they had the ditches along the side of the road, the little 4-foot ditches, and they would be completely buried over in snow. So so you can have your 90 inches. Just give 3 inches is deadly in Ohio. Just you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, dude. No, where I grew up, I think there was a blizzard in 80, 81, and I think we got 3 feet. And it was just like, holy crap. So,
yeah. So you guys are familiar with snow. The thing that I found the most funny is like you go out to your car and it's frozen, right?
Yeah.
And so you scrape the windshield or whatever, but you can't get the key in the lock, right?
Yeah.
And you can go inside and get hot water and all that kind of stuff, or you can just pee on it,
That's true.
And I was surprised that was a very common thing that people would just pee on their locks just all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't have de-icers like they do now. I mean, the de-icers for the key locks and the heated keys. There was nothing that fancy back there. So you had what was available to you.
That's right.
Or, you know, if you really got somebody really upset you, you could take your Playboy magazines in the middle of winter, you take water, you throw it on their window, you slap the Playboy magazines on there, it freezes over, you put a little more water, and when they came out, they'd have to take a razor blade in order to get them off.
Yeah, if you really want to be cool, if you really want to be cruel, we didn't use Playboys. We would use newspaper to do that same thing. But we would put cornstarch on the window first.
Cornstarch! Oh, snap! Wow, that's a whole new level of cruelty.
Yeah, there's no getting that off. You can't, you know, you're not hosing that off. You're not scraping that off. That's on there.
That's rough. So anyway, we kind of grew up in the same era, and that's why comic books. So we grew up. So what was from that era that you were growing up in, what was your favorite to read?
Oh, heavy metal, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. It had the biggest variety. It had the coolest stories. It was edgy, lots of titties, you know. So.
Yep.
So what led you to the path of, you know, doing your own book? Because, you know, we've only talked a few times before. Mm-hmm. Is this your first stuff? Captain Love?
Captain Love is my first comic book series. Obviously, it's at its fourth release now.
Right.
It actually started. See, I'm also a filmmaker, and you know, and my bread and butter. I do coding and marketing and that kind of stuff. So I have my fingers in a lot of different things over the years, artistically. And then so I was actually I used to do YouTube back when YouTube was profitable to actually get into and not have to be like a superstar.
Right.
And there was this thing that everybody knows as the adpocalypse that happened. When that occurred, I went from making about $2,000 to $50 a month on YouTube. And the amount of work that it took just didn't like justify getting the $50. It was almost like, you know, it's like I would do it for free, but if I did it and I would do it my own way, you know, if it was gonna be that. So if I was approaching it, I'm going to do YouTube for free. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to write myself a 30-minute, you know, sci-fi, low budget, something I can make at home with some friends, you know what I mean, and just do about 30 minutes or less. And my channel name was The Drew Love, you know, like it says right here, you know what I mean. So and because I was writing it for myself, you know, I was like, okay, so the character's name became Captain Love. He got a braid because it was in the script because I didn't want to cut my hair. You know what I mean? And so I wrote what I thought would be the coolest thing to do within a limited budget of concept. Yeah. And then I had a business partner and some friends read it, and they're like, "Oh no, you got to write this thing full length, and we're going to try and shop it." And so I wrote a full length feature film, script. No longer was it for me. You know what I mean? It was actually for somebody else. The braid got carried over because it was like an element in the script that was used that was part of interest, which is and so and then when we're doing storyboards for that to pitch, the guy that was doing the storyboards suggested that because it wasn't in the movie, that I'd write a graphic novel to tell the backstory of Captain Love. And that's how Hero the Cleansing got written. And because it was going over so well during the production, it ended up getting an extra 10 pages, actually extra 20 pages to it, as far as length, because it was only started out as 52 pages and then it ended up being 72 pages. And then the book itself, when people started seeing it, it was such a huge hit that it had to become an actual series. So.
Oh, that's cool.
That is.
And now I have another series coming out this summer. So that's a whole new second series. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want, give everybody the explanation of Captain Love, what it's about, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we need to hear the pitch.
We can go through it.
So Captain Love is a space trucker and famous war hero who travels the solar system with his artificial intelligence companion. Now, his artificial intelligence companion is named Spade, and she's alive. And Spade stands for Synchronized Protocol Artificial Intelligence Delegate. So basically, what that means is that she can exist in multiple computers at the same time. And then when those computers are able to communicate with each other, she can exist as a single entity, and then obviously as separate entities when she can't communicate with herself. So she has like this level of getting into everything, and she's software, so it's difficult to get rid of her. You have to actually purge the computer to get her out. And Captain Love has an optical and audio implant that he got from an injury he got during the cleansing, which is in that book, The Hero of the Cleansing. It backstories and tells that. And in that computer, she actually used that computer to hijack his head to escape herself from being destroyed. So
okay.
Oh,
so that's how that team got created. And then there's characters in the series that are pretty essential, like Jean, which is Captain Love's best friend. They were in battle together. She's kind of like a cute chick that always kind of had a crush on him, but nothing ever happens because Captain Love legendarily may or may not be immortal. But the situation that surrounds that, he was in love with the voodoo princess, and she actually prayed to the voodoo goddess that since as long as he loved her, to watch over him so that he could always come back to her. The downside to that is that she got killed during the cleansing, and he actually still loved her. So because of the curse and everything else, and the kind of person he is, his love is still her. His heart is still focused on her. So he's not able to love anybody else right now. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Will take us through this campaign. And,
so is this set in the future, or is this like an alternate reality?
No, it's the future.
Okay.
And in fact, there's no aliens, and it only happens in our solar system. There's there's not like interstellar travel in one day, because traveling light speed is not happening. In fact, they do have vehicles that are experimental, and they have obviously people that have gotten together and they're making the generational trip to another solar system. That kind of stuff. But but there, as far as things go, like the Captain Love's hauler only at max speed can only go a fourth of light speed at its fastest. Now, when you say fastest, that's also kind of subjective, because you can only get to your max speed halfway between here and your destination. You know what I mean? Because if you're going full tilt halfway to, say, Saturn, right? You have halfway there, you have to stop going full tilt. In fact, you have to reverse your jets and try to stop yourself the other half of the way, because your momentum in space has to be counteracted against.
Yeah, there's no opposing effects.
Exactly. So you have to create that. So if you're going full speed halfway to Saturn, you have to go full speed in reverse the other half of the way to actually stop at Saturn. So,
interesting.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So you're saying in Star Wars or Star Trek, when a ship goes light speed and then just pops back to regular whatever speed, they would still be going pretty quick. Whereas they make it look like they just go boom.
Well, they do, but see, they have dampening fields and they have all the cool input. See, Star Trek has it laid out way better than Star Wars. Star Wars just kind of glosses over that. But Star Trek, they have dampening fields and inertial dampers and all that kind of great stuff to make up the gobbledygook, to make it realistic.
Right. And Star Wars, they don't go light speed. They do hyperspace. Which
hyperspace. That's right.
Yeah. So it's basically a dimensional adjustment. So you're really not going at all. Right. You're not moving. Whatever speed you were when you jumped into hyperspace is the speed you're moving when you jump out of hyperspace.
Right.
And that's why they have lanes, because you go from point A to point B, and you only can jump in those particular areas. You can't just go, light speed or hyperspace anywhere you want.
Well, you can, but you're really taking a big chance.
Right, because there's always things in the way.
Right. Like if you watch Solo, they did the whole fall back on the Kessel Run and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they actually engage with that philosophy a little bit. So
cool.
Amazing we're married.
My wife would have tuned out a long time ago and went, that's just too deep.
My wife's out. She's like, shut up, you idiots. What's the saying? There are no dog fights in space. You can't bank as there's no air. Yeah.
That's
actually,
right.
There are dog fights in space, and you can't bank like you would like a plane. However, you're flying this way. Like, think if you have like a flying brick, like the hauler. Wait,
right.
We'll do this like this, actually, because I have. Wait, that won't open. What did my cat do to that? Oh my gosh. Why won't that open? Okay. So say like you have the hauler, right? And you're flying, right? And you're going this direction, and you want to you use your jets to like say pivot yourself, right? So you're like pivoting, and then you can actually change your direction and all that kind of stuff in any direction you want based on where you pivot your jets. So the hauler's jets actually have the ability to pivot around and extend out so that he can maneuver his flying brick more or less, in very exotic kind of ways so that he can actually do something similar to dogfighting.
Okay, so here's my question. And this is a legit question because I don't know anything about the physics of this stuff. In space, obviously there's no oxygen, there's no air, there's no friction, right?
Yep.
So if there's something just sitting there, like a ship, and then, it turns on its back jets, why would that propel it forward in the first place? Because it's not pushing against anything.
Because of how it works. Because the explosion coming off the jet, right? The explosion itself is what moves it.
Yes. That's what pushes the ship.
That creates the momentum.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So the jet, the thrust itself, right, is pushing this forward. Right. So
what happens if you fire a gun in space?
But what happens if you're firing a gun in space, you're going to shoot the gun, the bullet's going to go one direction and you're going to go the other.
Right. So if you think about the like TV shows that are pretty good. Babylon 5 did a reasonable job of trying to do it. The most current one, I was going to say the new Battlestar Galactica, but the Expanse, they actually explain it because, they deal with rail guns and they deal with, point defenses and everything like that. They're actual they're real physics based and how that they work it. But yes, that is exactly real space, as close to real space combat is what we're going to be able to get visually. But that sounds like what you've enacted within your comic book.
Yes, and let me just tell you, since I'm not the illustrator, I've had to communicate those physics to my illustrator. That has been a challenge at times because he'll like draw something. I'm like, no, we can't do that. It's like,
right.
So he's all, but it's fantasy. I'm like, yeah,
it's fantasy. Yes, but it's got to be science fantasy.
Right.
It's like I'm trying to do something here. You know what I mean? It's like
I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool. So you learned something new. So last question about firing a gun. I totally understand you'd go the other way because it's an explosion pushing you back. Mm-hmm. Would the bullet still come out at the same speed it would on the planet?
Actually, slightly faster because there wouldn't be any resistance.
Oh, right. So it would really take off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There's no resistance.
And it would never slow down. Right. And it would never slow down. So like if you were in space and you pointed the gun at say Alpha Centauri and you fired it, 26 years later it's going to arrive at Alpha Centauri. So.
Oh,
see, but that's why you use laser weapons because then you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't have any negative effect.
Right. That's the beautiful part of a laser versus a blaster. Okay, because a blaster would still have the reaction effect like they do.
Yeah, right.
Blasters are what they use in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Those pulse cannons that they shoot from their hands. Okay, that would actually have a recoil, but a laser is just light. So it would not have any kind of recoil at all. So you could shoot lasers, right? But it takes a lot more energy to generate a laser than it would a plasma blast. So
yes. So Randy's asking, Captain Love is a space cowboy trucker? ?
A little cowboy, but space trucker. Yeah, space trucker, war hero. He's I wouldn't really. I mean, like it's not really old westy. You know what I mean?
Right.
He doesn't like rustle cattle or anything. So he's not really a cowboy.
Well, he reminded me. I looked through Andy's a copy that he had here, and I says, well, he seems kind of like Captain Kirk. If he gets a green chick in there, I think it would be very similar.
Yeah, actually, Captain Kirk is one of the things that I drew from when I was creating the character. Han Solo, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, of course, all elements that I drove through. However, if people if I had to narrow it down to two, an easy explanation, I would say that it would be Jack Burton meets James Bond in the future.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And you guys know Jack Burton, Big Trouble in Little China. So.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Well, if you shared your sound, go ahead and play the trailer.
All right,
we'll go through it.
Can you guys hear it?
Yep.
Greetings. My name is Spade. That stands for Synchronized Protocol Artificial Intelligence Delegate, and I am living software. I want to tell you about this amazing person I'm blessed enough to be companions with. His name is Love. Captain Love is a space trucker and a famous war hero. He once saved the solar system from a madman's reign. Some people believe him to be immortal, but if you were to ask him, he would say he just hasn't died yet. Captain Love regularly, and somewhat reluctantly, finds himself on wild adventures that could potentially change the course of the solar system. There always seems to be a friend of his in trouble, and some sinister person, evil organization, or jealous husband trying to kill him. Sometimes it's friends, or a woman's attention that gets him in what seems like a tough situation. But regardless, I am always there with him. I look after him, and I know him better than anyone ever will. He is a really good man, no matter what anyone else says.
And you feel like the universe is caving in, there'll be love to the rescue. And it seems like nothing will be right again, there'll be love to the rescue. Captain Love to the rescue. Captain Love to the rescue. Captain Love to the rescue.
That's cool. That girl's voice sounds familiar for some reason.
That is Sparkle Susan. She actually is a good friend of mine, and she is on the. She has a television show that I produce weekly. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we were actually friends first, and then she had her first studio that she was at when we met. That she left them because they were never stepping up their tech, and they had like the cheesy green screen that like it was really, really bad. And I tried to give them pointers, stuff like that, and they were just never working with her. And then she wanted to have virtual guests on occasion so she could interview her friends from other areas, and then they had all kinds of technical issues. So she changed to another studio who she asked what I thought, and I was like, okay, I know the guy. He's kind of lazy, but it's better. It's going to be better than what you had. Right. And then I helped her with anything on location, at that time. So I was helping her with all kinds of on location stuff. And then that guy was really way too lazy. Like he would make mistakes every episode and never do anything to fix them. And it was just a disaster. And so she got way fed up and just asked if I would take over. And so I did. And now I've been doing her show for, almost 2 years now. So. Oh,
cool. Hyper Kaiju, thank you for listening while you're in your car. Good to have you. What About as well is here. All right, we'll scroll through this puppy and let's look at some stuff.
Yeah. So we have. I just want everybody to know that the prices that you see. I hate this thing that they do now here. Do not sell my information.
Oh,
you know what I mean? That that you have domestic shipping on all perks. So when you see a perk here, right? If you are in the United States of America, the price you see here is the price that you're paying. You're not. It's the shipping is included to this pricing structure.
Nice.
I tried to keep the pricing model like convention pricing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in-person pricing the best that I could,
Yeah.
I tried to be creative with it. And I made the promise that I would do that for people all through the Rise of the Pirate King campaigns. It actually ended up being a bigger challenge. I thought that we would have more momentum and more sales at this point. However, due to COVID and the ups and downs of the CG community, it has not panned out the way that I thought. So the next book that follows Rise of the Pirate King, since I haven't promised what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to reevaluate how I price things. So, but for those who wonder, I am sticking to my word. So chapter 3. 4, 5, and 6 will also have the same, friendly pricing model based on what you would pay in a comic book store for the same thing or at a convention. So
That's cool.
which is I as you guys could tell, like I'm like regretting making that choice back then, but it's but when you give your word,
if we knew then what we knew now,
right?
Now.
Yes. If I could see the future, I'd be a rich man. So we have the Catch Me Up tier, which is chapters 1, 2, and 3, and volume 1, which is all 4 releases.
Cool.
And then that's only $60. So if you guys do the math, you can tell that's like about what you would spend in the comic book store for that kind of stuff. And then we have chapter 3 by itself. If you just want that because you have everything else already, that is just $15 shipped to your door. If and then if you say if you have just chapter 2 already and you need chapter 1, volume 1, and 3, those are all available as add-ons. So you can get whatever it is you need as add-ons. But if you're going to get it all, this is the way to go. It's more expensive if you add them all on individually.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then obviously, if you want it signed, chapter 3 signed, $20 right here, shipped to your door. If you want to do 2 copies of chapter 3, and if you want it signed, obviously you just add on that you want it signed, and then it's a little bit extra, but not a lot. And I will sign those for you. And then if you have volume 1 because you read Hero of the Cleansing, and then you didn't realize that there were chapters 1, 2, and 3 available, here they are. You can get them. If you want, say you have a friend and both of you need to get caught up, you can get yourself a little discount here. Get 2 copies of chapters 1, 2, 3, and volume 1 for only $100, which is a $20 discount if you do the math.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I have a Captain Love statue. The first statue, it is a solid piece, 3D print, and it is 7 inches tall.
Hold on, I want to full screen that because I want to see it too. I was about to ask how tall is it? So it's 7 inches, huh? That's nice.
It is 7 inches tall. Yeah.
What's that bad boy going for?
Because it costs so much to have this printed,
Yeah.
I have to let them go for $300, and then
Sure.
you can get a hand painted version for $400.
Nice.
It hasn't been very popular on the campaign. I'm thinking the price point is just too much, or you know what I mean, or just not enough people have, which is it's just one of those things. I mean, it costs a lot to print them.
Oh yeah, no, I have a First Man full figure that I think I'm looking at now. I think it's about 7 inches, and then I also have just a waist up, bust as well. I totally know about the 3D printing and all that fun stuff.
Plus, I went with a really, really, really reputable company so that I wouldn't waste money. You know what I mean? Because I when I was going through picking out my companies, I kind of did my due diligence and asked people what their experiences were with these companies, if I could find somebody who had worked with them. And more often than not, a lot of those companies that claim to be 3D printing companies, they're not really reliable. They either take 10 years to get you your 3D printed item, or you know what I mean, or there's big mistakes in the print, and then they don't make good on it after the fact because they've already sent it to you, and they're like, oh no, it's whatever. And this is clean. When it got to me, super clean, super well done.
Dude, you'll have to DM me who you're using.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
I was wondering if you had a company, if you were doing it yourself, because I know that 3D printing stuff, it's kind of looking into it, and there's a lot to it.
Yeah. Well, I basically researched something like 25 different companies. And some of them, I believe they were just like teenagers doing it from their own home house.
Right.
And then there was this company, which is like a huge facility, and they have like a team of like 50 people or something that work on it from the development stage all the way to, and I gave them a 2D picture, and then a couple of supportive pictures to show, what it looks like from behind and the sides and that kind of stuff like that. And, they developed it. I approved their design, and then they printed it. And when I got it, I was like, wow, I didn't expect it to be perfect, Well,
yeah, definitely send me their info, because I've already got the digital file that I would send to a printer. So
yeah. And they let's put it this way. They took a little bit longer getting my print to me because when they started the print process, they found some issues that they ran into on, like, there were challenges with my specific print. They fixed those issues without trying to ask me for more money or any kind of issue.
Oh, nice.
And then they made sure that when I got my print, it was flawless. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and then if you do this company says if you do a large order, like a really large order, they give you a price point discount.
Sure,
but if you're doing one off, you know what I mean, or 3 at a time, 5 at a time, 10 at a time, there's no discount. So it's like
right. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's cool. Randy says you can get a really good 3D printer for $1,500.
See, that's interesting because I was looking. We found some for $500, $800, $1,200.
300.
Yeah, 300, but I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Then it's what type of materials you're putting into it, and there's just so much to it. Because I started looking at, so Randy, if you've got info, you can drop some things down there, because I know I was looking at 3D printing D&D minis and stuff like that, and is it worth investing in it or not? That's kind of what the question is.
Yeah. I'm actually talking to trying to work them down on their price. There's a company in my town that does full size production stuff for like they do sets and large scale.
Oh yeah.
They also do full size statues, and I'm trying to because they can do them out of foam and they're easy to transport. So I'm trying to get them to go down on their price. I keep saying I'll take it to LA Comic-Con and promote your company, and everything I can, because because let me just tell you, it's nice to have a figure, a little statue on the table. But if you had a full size human, like I got a standee, my standee gets attention. A little cardboard standee, little 6-footer. That gets attention. People walk by, they're like, "Oh, dude," they start talking and asking, "What is this?" But if I had an actual full size, thing there, fully painted and standing in like at my corner booth right there at the corner, people would come by and take pictures with it. You know what I mean? Just like he was a cosplayer or something. It's like, so I've been trying to, but it's going to be around like $1,200 to do something like that. So it's I'm trying to get him down though. If I can get him under 1,000, I'll probably do it. But
nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. So what else we got going on?
Okay, so that's basically the figures are that I had original art on here that sold like day one.
Oh, nice.
I thought about putting more original art by the same artist. But I'm going to hold off because I went in demand last night at midnight.
Okay.
And so I figured I would hold off on that. Now this right here, this panel here makes me laugh. I think it's my fault because I told my illustrator. I think I possibly referred to these guys as
the Three Stooges,
as his Three Stooges.
Oh my God! As soon as you said it, I'm looking at it going, that looks like Mo back there.
I was gonna make a comment when I saw that, going, now are there Three Stooges in space? Because that's exactly it.
You gotta watch it because your artist is your artist Italian?
No, actually, he's the my original artist. Yes, the artist for Hero and the Cleansing and the artist for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is Italian. He is.
Oh, okay.
The artist he got an offer he could not refuse, and it was paying him twice what I was paying. So I had to change artists for Chapter 3. And he wants to come back to Captain Love. We actually, when he was leaving, we had a big fight and a big falling out, and you know what I mean? Because basically, a lot of, there were like a lot of little things about him that were irritating, a lot of things about me that were irritating, you know what I mean? And then when it's like he wanted to stay, but at the same time the money was like that. So I think he kind of like tried to rub me wrong way a little bit on purpose to get an excuse to feel good about leaving. You know what I mean? But we've talked a lot since then, and he wants to come back. I'm going to try to get him to come back for the next, after Rise of the Pirate King, the next book, because he's booked out, you know, which is funny. Now, let me just tell you this, which is funny. It is Captain Love that made him desirable, because people who, it was the work he was doing on Captain Love that got him the gig that was paying him twice what Captain Love was paying him.
Oh.
But I pay for all my work up front, right?
Sure.
So like all the illustration for chapter 3 is done, you know.
Right.
So and I've been doing that for every campaign. So it's not like I'm raising the money to pay them after the fact, and then if I don't raise enough, I can't pay them, or they got to settle for less, or, you know, I pay up front. So I hope to make my money back and, you know, make money to print and ship. That's my minimum goal, you know, is that. Which on this campaign we have not reached yet, but like I said, I have made the money to do the printing and fulfillment without an issue. So after this point, it's just about trying to raise enough money to pay myself back, and you know, and then ideally after that raise enough to, you know, to pay for the next one, even though it's already going to come out of pocket. Like I already have it all budgeted and figured out, you know, because you know, I think like that. I'm a bit of a businessman. I want to make sure that if I'm going to do something, I've thought it through, so I don't get stuck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just smart.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. You know.
No, I know. Yeah. It's rare. You know, it's hard to. I guess I was blessed with the creative side, but also the business side when it comes to thinking through things and if this, then what, and all that, compared to some people that are like super creative, and I'm like, God, I would love to be as creative as that, but when it comes to the business stuff, they're just
yeah, we all have to choose something to focus in on when we start doing things, right? For me, it was music. I focused in on music when I had to like focus in on what creative thing I was going to focus in on. You know, and then with music came a little bit of filmmaking, because we made our own music videos back then, you know. And so, you know, and then I got a little bit of experience in filmmaking and television and that kind of thing. So I kind of started, I kind of went that route. So obviously, you know, my love of comics, you know, was always there. And it was, you know, just got breathed back into like its absolute veracity when, you know, when I started writing the first, you know, volume 1 for Captain Love. And now, you know, I got another series coming out. I'm trying, I got a whole bunch of stuff in my head that I want to put out. But for me, it's like if I had your skills, Andy, I would be drawing my own stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you.
But
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So. I don't have that skill set. It would take me years and years and years to develop it. And, you know, it's like I would be like so old that at that point that it would be difficult to enjoy even doing it. I probably have like arthritis and I'd be like, oh, you know.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
You know, so I've just like settled the fact that I'm a comic book writer. I'm already a writer. I've always been a songwriter. I write screenplays, you know. In fact, you know, like I told you guys that I acted on a movie with Sally Kirkland, and actually there's a couple other movies that are coming out. So it's, you know, there are some big things happening, you know, all around, and you know, I'm trying to keep Captain Love going full tilt, but it's difficult for me to handle everything that's on my plate and give Captain Love the promotion that he deserves.
Right.
So that's kind of why he's suffering. You know what I mean? Like everybody says, well, you got to build your following and you promote hard. And I'm like, this is true. This is absolutely true. I mean, that is how it works in this game right now. And, you know, those of us who don't have the ability to dedicate that kind of time because our plates are so full, we really have to rely on our friends and other people to help us, you know what I mean, to get the word out.
Oh, yeah, dude. It is. You know, people ask me what the difference is, and I'm like, well, the difference is when I was working for Marvel, DC, or whoever, I would just sit down, draw my page for the day, finish, relax, rinse and repeat the next day. Now I got to draw the page, I got to wrangle the, you know, the other aspects, the coloring, the lettering. I work with a co-writer. I do all the promotion. So it is a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, with me, I do all that I can, you know, I mean, I used to do a lot more, you know, my plate got kind of full. I'm trying to find ways to square off small amounts of time to
Sure.
to bring things back. With me, I took a class that started last year on Thursdays, and there's like 2 months left of that class. So like when that class is over, I'm gonna have like my Thursdays again. I mean, like a woo,
And that's cool, because then if you can kind of go, well, every Thursday for this long, I had this much time allotted. I should take that same amount of time and do this.
Exactly.
It's easy to say, because I've been in the same boat where I was committed to doing something on a certain day or whatever. And then I think, oh, when that's over, I'm not just going to lounge on the couch or whatever. I'm going to take, I had those 2 hours or whatever blocked off. I'm just going to keep them blocked off to do this.
Right.
And, it's easier said than done.
It really is. I'm going to try and do a Thursday night thing when the class is over. So hopefully we'll be able to pull that off. Also, Sparkle and I have been trying to, because we work together, we're good friends. And we had her YouTube channel and her Twitter don't get enough love, because she doesn't spend a whole lot of time doing the kind of promotion like this, so we actually have like pretty much agreed and figured out that we're probably going to do a virtual show before her recordings on Tuesdays. So we're probably going to start an extra hour early on Tuesday, and then do one of these things in a separate room, not in the big studio, because we don't need a television studio for this.
Right.
But at the same place we shoot, they have a podcast room.
Oh, cool.
And then they insist that you videotape it while you're doing the podcast. So instead of running video like that, we're just going to run webcams and do it, like where we sit in the same with each other with both our, like, instead of being in separate rooms across the world, we're just going to have like that and use one mic for the both, because obviously the same mic will pick up what she's saying and what I'm saying, because we're going to be in the same room. Yeah. And we'll have 2 cameras running, and that will actually probably how we're going to work the show. And then we'll bring in guests, and then that'll be on Tuesdays, probably around 3:00 Pacific. So it'd be 6:00 Eastern time. Yeah. Which would probably be right around people getting home. And, so I don't know how well that time will work out on Tuesday, but it's basically the only time that we can coordinate. You know what I mean? So, but if we're in demand, people will make time to watch us. And Sparkle likes to wear things that show off her cleavage, so that'll get some attention. Yeah.
Sure. So Randy threw up a comment. Looks like a fun book. I back a lot of campaigns, but living in Canada, I pay almost as much for shipping. A digital tier may help. That's how I buy all my Alterna book comics. So
yeah, you know what? A lot of people would like digital tiers. I have considered it many times. The reason why I currently don't do digital tiers is because what I have found is not necessarily on Indiegogo, but once the digital is out there, it is just pirate friendly. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. That's what I don't do digital. So yeah.
It's like I already have friends that have done digital, and it's like I could Google their book title and find a download of it, on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. So if somebody wants a digital of mine right now, they're going to have to scan the pages and tear up their book to get it done. You know what I mean?
That's right. No, dude, I totally hear you. Totally hear you.
But it doesn't mean it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Right. So like after Rise the Pirate King is done and it's out, and I'm working on the next one, I might put a digital out of Hero of the Cleansing.
Right. Well, you give it enough time. It's one of those things. You just give it enough time, whether it's a couple years, 3, whatever.
Right.
Because then at that point, you're just going, okay, it's been in print long enough. Now I'll go digital and hopefully try and reach a new audience that way.
Right. Well, I mean, if I here's the thing, I can go digital and put it on Comixology right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'll you can put a turd on Comixology. Because they have no standards. I mean, if they get reported, they'll yank it. You know what I mean? But you can put anything up there. And so I could totally do that and charge the same amount for the book on Comixology, because that's a lot of people do that. and they'll even do a degree of marketing. And in fact, I've actually been fielding emails from Amazon because they found through the ISBN number, they found Hero the Cleansing, and they saw that it wasn't in their book collection. So they're like, oh, well, why don't you sell your book through Amazon? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, how are you going to market it for me? Because if I got to sell it through you guys and I could do all the marketing, I could sell it myself. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But then it was explained to me by another person that sells their books on Amazon that a lot of people have like their credit cards associated to their Amazon Prime account. You know what I mean? Or some people have Amazon credit cards. So like you actually have a higher percentage of closing a sale through Amazon than any other platform. So yeah. And that makes sense. It makes sense, you know what I mean? But it's like one of those things, when do you do it? How do you do it? You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been kind of holding off trying to, because I still have less than half of my first run of the Hero the Cleansing books.
Sure.
And I kind of want to get through the first run before I put it on Amazon. I don't, you know what I mean? Because it's like, if it's a second run book, it's not as collector's item, you know what I mean? So it's
right. Yeah.
Right. So that's my thought process. So so here's the cover of Captain Love, Chapter 3. The Chapter 3 title is The Missing Girl. So and in this one, it follows up Chapter 2. Those of you who read Chapter 2, Chapter 2 ends with Captain Love going to go visit Madame Mary, who runs a brothel, because he owes her a favor and she needs to cash it in. So Chapter 3 starts connecting that dot where he is going to the brothel that orbits Saturn, which you can see kind of here in this little image, and then he has to engage with Madame Mary. We get to learn a little bit about their history. We get to learn a little bit more flashback of Captain Love, and then we also get to see more interactions with Lord Kroll, which is the named dark figure from Chapter 1. He's actually going to be very pivotal to the series moving forward. It's just that, not just Rise of the Pirate King, because he's the guy that has organized the pirates, you know what I mean? And basically he's the pirate king, you might say, at this point. Although I don't think he calls himself the king. I think he would probably think of himself more as an emperor. It's like just the kind of guy he is. I don't want to do any spoilers, but I'm going to do some teasers. Okay, so in Rise of the Pirate King, we're gonna figure out a lot about him that we don't know yet, and it will be more of a reveal. Right now, he's still kind of a dark figure. We don't really show his face. You know what I mean? So there will be more of a reveal and more about him through by the end of Rise of the Pirate King, and then the next book, there's elements that he puts into motion that in the, again, I don't want to do the title because it's revealing. But the third volume, which would be the book that follows Rise of the Pirate King, will actually introduce Captain Love's true nemesis.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And this nemesis is been something that once you figure out how it's created, has been built to across from the first book to the, from the beginning to the end. You can see how like it's slowly been staging to the creation of this nemesis. So
right. That's cool.
So you peel back that layer of the onion.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot going on. Chapter 3 is a fun book. We get to see things in it. Like here, this is actually Jean. Told you, Captain Love's best friend. It's the first look that we get of her cockpit and her hauler. So like she's also a hauler driver. You know what I mean? Her hauler is not the same as Captain Love's. A lot of just like haulers. And a lot of spaceships in this universe are not like something you go and buy it off the lot and then that's what you fly around. You know what I mean? Because you would think about parts. You don't get like spare parts very easily. So a lot of stuff it may have started as one thing, but over time it's been rebuilt into other things. And then sometimes there's people who custom build something off of something else. You know what I mean? So like you might like a lot of people have like associated Captain Love's Hollow to like a Winnebago. Well, obviously not, because a Winnebago is not that big. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there was another vehicle first. You know what I mean? That is used as the frame construction that things were built onto. So it's kind of one of those fun things. So like I like to tell that to people. So when they see different vehicles in their minds, they're like wondering, what was this before?
That's cool, and it adds nice personality to each character as well.
Right.
So, dude, that's really cool. Stat Zero just posted the link, so if you haven't checked out Captain Love yet, go check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think the art looks great. I thought it was cool.
I think it's a great concept. And I'm a sci-fi and a fantasy guy on top of superheroes. So just talking about the basically space physics and stuff like that, I mean, that means to me a lot of thought got put into it. Like I said, I wasn't all that familiar. I just backed your Catch Me Up because I looked at Andy's first issue there and I'm like, oh, see, that looks cool. Now that I've learned more, I got to read it. So yeah, dude, I backed it because I think it looks great. It sounds like you put a lot of thought into it. I love sci-fi stuff. So, I'm hoping we can, get the word out a little bit more for you, because this looks really neat to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you backing it and getting the word out. I'm hardcore believing on it. Like, I have not made any profit on this series yet. You know what I mean? I'm not giving up.
No, I hear you.
And I believe in the IP so much because I have done a lot of comic book reading, and I actually, before the first release was out, before the Hear the Cleansing was out, I actually took it around to a lot of different comic book stores. The same thing, everyone pretty much gave me the same kind of response. This is super cool. Nobody's doing anything like this.
Right. You
know what I mean? And I'm loving that that Captain Love is original enough that people who see all the comic books, they see all the books, are like, oh, I've never seen anything like this, and that I love hearing that. That's like my big victory, which tells me that I have something that, has a future. I've been looking into doing a Captain Love cartoon short.
That's cool.
I've actually got I've gotten some interest from the streaming platforms for a Captain Love like possible series or feature that's animated. But they're all show us something. You know what I mean? And since I'm not a cartoonist, I have been trying to find a company that I can work with to create something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the problem is that, some of those companies are not legitimate.
Right.
A lot of them, they claim to be a studio, but they outsource everything to different places, and they're just a guy at their desk,
Right.
And then some of those places are actual studios, and then they have extra overhead. You know what I mean? So they're even more expensive. So it's kind of like, okay, how do you find out? Just 2 days ago, I was talking to this dude, and he was like trying to tell me, oh, well, we do this and all that kind of stuff. He showed me his portfolio. And then in the portfolio, I saw a clip from the Invincible series. The one that was on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, so did you guys do this? And he's all like, oh, well, you see this and that in there. We do that kind of stuff. I'm like, but did you do this? And he's all, well, and then he was just sidestepping, the whole time. And I'm like, okay, so tell me what your animation studio did in this thing here.
Right.
And then he's all, well, I'm going to have to get back to you on that, which he hasn't done yet. So,
oh, yeah.
That's the example of the kind of stuff that you can run into when you're trying to track down this series, because, no one's going to do it for free because it takes a lot of time. And, and I'm not paying $1,200 a minute. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's like, I cannot afford to pay $1,200 a minute out of my pocket for a something that, that's just a lot of money. You know what I mean? So.
Well, dude, that's very cool. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. and talking about it.
We're gonna drop your links and everything in the description for below because a lot of you will watch this
there.
later. Oh, it is. It is. It is. No, it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I should have the link already there.
Yep, and I added.
Nice.
Nice. So anything else you want to add, just drop us a line. We'll pop it in there. But for those of you watching it later, everything's down below, and that's awesome.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. Thank you so much for backing the Catch Me Up. I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
I know. I actually can't wait to read it. So I'm
you know, it's funny. I'm actually the chapters that I'm most excited for in this particular one is actually chapter 4 and chapter 6.
Okay.
Chapter 4 is going to have a bloodbath and a strip bar.
Nice.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's a good combo.
Yeah, and chapter 6 is the big reveal of Lord Kroll. You know what I mean? And so that like I'm so excited for those 2 chapters because those are like big hitting moments. You know. Yeah. Cool. But every chapter is good. I give you a little thrill in everything. You know what I mean? It's always violence, sex, or both. You know what I mean? So
there you go.
So it's already shipping just as a follow up.
So right now, I have chapter 3 on my computer and I'm doing the lettering. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. I have actually lettered all the pages, but I am tweaking them. Right. And I kind of want to give people a little bit because of the nature of this time around. I have not been able to get the momentum in people's eyes. Like literally, I was on Mandy's channel last night, and everybody's all like, "How come we didn't know you had a campaign going?" I'm like, "Dude, it's been 60 days. I've been telling everybody." You know, the reason why you don't know is because Twitter doesn't show my tweet to everybody anymore. You know what I mean? Because, you know, it's like YouTube doesn't feed my stuff down anymore. It's just,
right.
You know what I mean? It's just there's so much noise. It's harder and harder to cut through every day. So, So, I mean, because of that, I'm actually probably going to lollygag a month and a half before I go to print. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might as well keep it in demand for a little while longer.
Yeah.
So
and I'm going to overprint and leave it in demand then as well.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Right, but but everything keeps moving forward. You know what I mean? I just want to give everybody an opportunity to build on the stretch goals because once it goes to print, the stretch goals cut off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
That's the idea because I have some good stretch goal ideas that I want. If I can get this thing to 10K, I got a really fun thing that I'm doing as a stretch goal for 10K. So but I don't want to spoil it because I don't want to get everybody excited. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Let's if you haven't backed it yet, back it now. And guys, we will be back next week with another guest. And you'll just have to pay attention to the channel. So make sure you hit like and subscribe. And you'll see who the guest is soon.
Just so you guys know, we are also popping up on, I've created Rumble and Odyssey accounts. So we're going to start going cross-platform. It's a work in progress. So anyway, just stay tuned. I will drop the links to those down in below as well. And at least I'll put up some of these interviews and stuff up in there. I'm going to be in Wisconsin for a couple of days. My mom's going in for surgery, so I'm going to help out. So you won't see a whole lot of me, but I will try and make it for our Wednesday interviews if possible.
All right.
And Dennis, it was great meeting you. Andy, it's fantastic seeing you again, buddy. And Dennis, prayers for your mom on her surgery, man.
Appreciate it. Yep, I'll be up there a couple weeks up in the great frozen tundra.
It won't be frozen anymore. It's springtime.
They just got snowed.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, God. No gang signs, Dennis. No gang signs.